So before we start, you should click the subscribe button or you're going to Hades. Playing Hades will make you feel a wide variety of emotions, which really depend on the items and bonuses you get every run. Sometimes I feel like a god, which I am literally. Sometimes I have panic attacks, get all sweaty, and wait till my death. Sometimes I get an item in the first couple of rooms where I go, yep, this is garbage. Hades is a roguelike indie game, fighting game, action role-playing game, shooter game that is developed by Supergiant Games. That's a lot of games. The story is well written and very intriguing. The game targets folks who will spend the time to visit and listen to each NPC after each run. The sheer amount of dialogue they have for you is insane, and paying attention to it is actually rewarding. The main idea is that you control a character named Zagreus, the son of Hades, making him Prince of the Underworld, and you are attempting to escape from the Underworld to reach Mount Olympus. During these escape attempts, Zagreus receives help from his Olympian family such as Zeus, Poseidon, Artemis, etc. in the form of boons. Hades claims that no escape is possible. The story unfolds more after you first successfully escape, but we won't spoil it. Every time you die, however, and start back in the Underworld, many of the NPCs have new dialogue for you, which progress the story as well. Here are the menu settings. Aren't they interesting? You can play Hades with a controller or mouse and keyboard. Here are the platforms you can play on. And lastly, one important detail is that the game supports cross-saving, where you can link your Steam, Epic, or Switch accounts to gain access to your cloud saves. The game looks great. The art style is incredibly unique, and to us it seems like everything is painted and shaded rather than drawn, but we aren't artists. Each level has some little animations such as these fire lanterns, water, or lava, just bringing each level to life. Voice acting is also very well done, and it makes you actually want to listen to what the NPCs have to say, which is important for the story, unlike some games.
What is this?
For general mechanics, you can do your normal attack, which is just like swinging a sword regularly. Then there's special attacks where you put a little pizzazz on it, like creating a shockwave. You can dash out of the way. You can dash into the way while simultaneously stabbing them. You can perform a cast which shoots a little magic crystal at the bad guys, which you can augment through boons to do things like this. You can use your call, which is kind of like an ultimate. If you use it when this bar isn't filled, it's a little bitch attack. If you use it when the gauge is filled, you go Super Saiyan and launch a much more powerful attack. Call skill depends on which boons you select throughout the run. There's one weapon that's a gun, and you can reload. You can move around, interact with objects, open the codex to get information about the creatures, characters, and objects of the Underworld, look at your boon info, and lastly, take a load off and go fishing. The game generally flows like this. Start out in the main hub area located in the Underworld. Interact with NPCs to progress the story and buy a variety of things to aid you on your next escape attempt. Once you finish preparing, you go to the main dungeons, Tartarus, Asphodel, Elysium, and Styx, and traverse them by clearing room after room of bad guys, vacuuming up any gold or fish you come across. Then choose the next room you want to go into based on the symbol above each potential door, which just indicates what kind of reward you'll get. Then repeat until you get to the boss and attempt to slap that ass. Then after a thorough ass slapping, you get to a safe room where you can heal up, switch your keepsakes, and buy some boons with your hard-earned cash. Then you ascend to the next area, which is a sequence of more rooms and safe zones and a boss. Repeat that a few times, then you escape the Underworld. Or do you? Here's some more details about the hub area of the Underworld. You can gift NPCs nectar to become their sugar daddy, and they'll give you their keepsake, which you can equip one of, and do things like this. Additionally, if you give them enough nectar, you'll be able to summon them during runs to help you. You can talk to the house contractor to do projects, which just upgrade rooms in the run or cosmetics back in the hub area. You can talk to this fat-ass gangster slug thing that wears a gold chain, which upon closer inspection I realize is not that. Anyway, you can trade materials for other materials. You can unlock upgrades in the mirror, which is kind of like a talent tree. You can pick between the green and purple upgrades, and level it up with darkness. Here's a list of more talents. You can unlock rewards for seeing certain gods during runs or doing certain challenges. As for weapons, you have the sword that can slash and shockwave. The skewer, which can stab things up close or far away. There's the shield, where you can smack with, throw with, and dash and smack with. Or maybe you're a bow enjoyer. Use it to shoot normally, shoot a volley, or do a little dash and shoot. And the last one I'll show you all is the punchy gloves, which you could use to punch fast and them into next week. You can buy aspects, which are basically weapon mods, and they change how your weapon functions. Punish yourself for being a naughty little prince of the Underworld by setting up the Pack of Punishment, which is unlockable after you finish one escape. They're basically skulls from Halo. During the run, you can sacrifice some health and jump into the portals in the ground to speak with the god Chaos. Chaos will grant you a boon, but only activates after a certain amount of rooms cleared, and has a negative effect during that time. Now let's talk about the locals of Hades. They want you to be a broken, mangled corpse lying dead on the ground. You got regular enemies like the fat lady who instead of singing just rams herself into you. Or how about the teacup guy who explodes? Yellow health enemies are basically elites. They have more HP and deal more damage. Then you got your bosses like the bony fellow who slams his big stupid head on the ground to create a damaging shockwave. And he summons ads. Or how about Meg, the Fury? She slashes and dashes. All the enemy mechanics matter a lot since the game is kinda hard. Once you learn the enemy mechanics, you can start to learn how to dodge enemy attacks. And now the shiny bullshit you can pick up off the ground, the loot. There's obols, which you can use to buy boons and items. There's darkness shards, will let you get upgrades in the mirror. You can get gems to pay the house contractor. Keys unlock extra rows for upgrades in the mirror. This is Sharon's shop. You can buy up to 3 items depending on how many obols you have, but beware when borrowing. The game is going to be inherently grindy because it's a roguelike, where part of your power comes from gathering resources from runs, and then getting your character permanent upgrades. So yeah, you gotta play a lot to do that to make runs easier. However, the NPC dialogue changes so frequently that you kinda look forward to dying so you can hear new dialogue and progress the story. I would say the only annoying thing I found is that the definition of encounter seems to change from dungeon to dungeon, as in the first 3 dungeons have one definition of an encounter and Styx has a different, which changes how some chaos rewards and items get used. But other than that, the game is solid. The amount of detail the devs and artists put in is incredible. I mean, check out this fountain you can unlock that shows you more information about your escape attempts. To recap, Hades in general is just a really good game. You aren't bombarded with windows for microtransactions like some of those games that are basically corporate amusement parks designed to suck every last cent from your wallet until it looks like SpongeBob the first time you went into Sandy's house without water. The game is there for you to play, not to sell you bullshit. It's as hard as you want to make it, and requires you to put in time. Just a really well-made game. On our Paddin 0 to 1 scale, we rate this game a 0.92 out of 1. That concludes this no bullshit review on Hades. If you like this video, please condemn the like button to eternal damnation by clicking it out of wedlock. Press the godforsaken sub button and comment to tell us your favorite kind of Chinese food. Thank you, good night, and get ready for many more no bullshit reviews in 2024.